June 2007. And let's talk about books. The first book I read in June of 2007 is Evil Harvest by Anthony Izzo. This takes place in Lincoln, New York, and there's some sort of evil that randomly takes people, kills people. Matt Crow comes into town just as things start escalating as we're approaching the harvest, and he has to figure out what this evil is and how to stop it. Maybe get some people, some townspeople together to help him keep the evil harvest from happening. I thought this was pretty good. It's from Pinnacle, I believe. There was, I feel like it was initially a different publisher, but I could be completely off. This was 2007, a long time ago. But I believe this was like Leisure. This publisher, Pinnacle, was putting out new horror on a semi-regular basis, and I was picking up what they were putting down. But anyway, that's Evil Harvest by Anthony Izzo. Next up, we have Wicked Things by Thomas Tessier. That's how I say it. And this takes place in a town called Winship. And investigator Jack Carlson comes into town to investigate mysterious deaths and things. And it seems to be escalating. And he's got to try to stop it before it, I don't know, the world ends or something. When I was reading the descriptions of these on Amazon, I was like, you could have switched these descriptions for Evil Harvest and Wicked Things and had the you wouldn't have been thrown off if you'd read like the description for Wicked Things and then read Evil Harvest and vice versa. Although there are packs of kids running around the town in Wicked Things that nobody seems to be able to do anything about. Which I don't think there are packs of kids in Evil Harvest. But Wicked Things, Thomas Tessier. I believe this was a Leisure. Next up, we have The Infinite by Douglas Clegg. This is another Harrow House book. And in this one, a group of psychic investigators go to Harrow House to see what's what. You know, very... The Haunting of Hill House and Hell House by Richard Matheson. So many books with psychic investigators going to houses, which can be quite enjoyable if they're written well. So that's The Infinite by Douglas Clegg, the third, I believe, in the Harrow House series. Next up, Manitou Blood by Graham Masterton. Now, I have a copy of this book. This is another Leisure book, but it is buried very close to the bottom of a very precarious pile of paperbacks. So I did not feel like digging it out. And this is, I think, the fifth of 7 books in the Manitou series. Harry Erskine, or however you say his name, has returned. There's a heat wave. It's New York City, and doctors are dealing with a strange blood disorder that makes the victims... they can't eat solid food, they're extremely sensitive to sunlight, and they need to drink blood. What the hell's going on? What does it have to do with the Manitou? And how is Harry Erskine going to stop it? Huge fan of Graham Masterton, and absolutely love the Manitou books that I've read. I don't think I've read all 7 yet, but love the character of Harry. The movie is crazy. The original movie, the Manitou, the original book is great, and the movie is wild. But this is Manitou Blood, well worth a read. Then we have The Birds and the Bees by an author whose name I've never been able to pronounce correctly, so I'm just going there, and there's a couple like accents on it. So I'm going with Sephora, Giron, I don't know how to pronounce her name. This is another Leisure book, and Our main character is Gabrielle, and she notices that birds are acting strangely, and we've got birds attacking people, and suddenly bees and wasps and things are attacking people. Seems like the kind of book that would be right up my alley. I was very excited for it. There's lots of disparate characters in it, and I I don't know if this was a bad period at leisure where they were having problems. I just remember, I think it was this book. I know at least one of this author's books had lots of problems production wise, um, as far as I don't know, incomplete sentences or things that didn't make sense. Maybe it was written just poorly and then never edited. I don't know, but a concept that I thought would be fantastic, but I did not enjoy the execution. The Birds and the Bees. Sephora Giron. I don't know how to pronounce her name. The penultimate book that I read in June of 2007. How to Survive a Horror Movie by Seth Grahame-Smith. This is before Pride and Prejudice and Zombies, before Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. We have this hilarious nonfiction book by Seth Grahame-Smith. The back cover copy, How to Tell If You Are Trapped in a Horror Movie. Are you reading this book at summer camp? Are you reading this book in a cornfield? Are you reading this book at an abandoned mental institution? Does music crescendo every time you open a door? Are there any Japanese children in your bathroom? Do all of your friends look suspiciously like cast members from Smallville and the Gilmore Girls? Have you, within the last 24 hours, accidentally killed a hobo or socially challenged classmate and then hid the corpse so that no one will ever find out? If you answered yes to 3 or more of these questions, you are most definitely trapped in a horror movie, and you need to read this book. And then on the inside flap here, readers will discover how to perform an exorcism, what to do if you did something last summer, how to persuade the skeptical local sheriff, how to vanquish a murderous doll, how to survive an alien invasion, how to tell if you've been dead since the beginning of the movie. Lots of great illustrations in this book. Let's see. There's just one crazy one right there. Absolutely hilarious stuff. The one thing that I have always remembered from this book was the part about killer dolls. And number one, kick the crap out of it. Even if you're 12 years old, you're probably 5 to 7 times larger than your attacker. Why are you running away from something that could be imprisoned with Legos? Before you resort to the fancy tactics that follow, crack your knuckles, step in the ring, and take your yarn-haired nemesis for a stroll down Pain Lane. Rip its limbs off, pull its stuffing out, hold it by the feet, and whack its head against the sidewalk. There's a reason dolls have to rely on stealth and trickery to kill. They're not very strong. You, on the other hand, have the gift of brute force. And then it goes on, just in case that doesn't work. There's more tips on dealing with a killer doll. But just hilarious. And some of the chapters. How do I know if I'm in a horror movie? How do I know what type of horror movie I'm in? The 7 deadly horror movie sins. The Slaughterhouse 5 types of slashers and how to defeat them. What to do if you did something last summer. How to survive a night of babysitting. I like that one. Let's see. The Good, the Bad, and the Deadly. Know your ghosts. How to kill the living dead. How to kill a vampire. How to survive a haunted house, etc. How to tell if an object is evil. Just really a fantastic book. It's so much fun. And a lot of references, if I remember correctly, to specific movies without getting specific, if you know what I mean. How to Survive a Horror Movie by Seth Grahame-Smith. Excuse me. And the last book that I read in June of 2007, The Manor by Scott Nicholson. And The main character is Anna Galloway. She poses as an artist to get access to this manor, but she's actually a parapsychologist, and she wants to figure out what the hell is going on in this creepy, creepy place. Scott Nicholson, good stuff. Need I say more? A lot of haunted houses this time. So, the question for the video: what is your favorite haunted house novel? Confession: I've probably mentioned this before. I have never read The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson. It's on my list. I'll get to it someday, but I've never read it at this point. So I have to go with things like Hell House by Richard Matheson, which is slightly more pornographic than The Haunting of Hill House, from what I can tell. I have seen The Haunting, both versions. The remake, terrible. And I have Hell House. I think it's called The Legend of Hell House, the movie. With Roddy McDowell. I have that on Blu-ray or DVD. Don't remember. But wild movie. Fantastic Richard Matheson book. I enjoy Flesh Gothic by Edward Lee. Of course, I love Edward Lee and his take on this sort of bizarre house. You know he's going to go off the rails. I know I'm forgetting plenty. Actually, Amityville Horror, which of course I believe is fiction, freaked me out when I read it way back in the day. I'm kind of looking around to see if anything else jumps out at me, but I know I've even read like haunted house stuff relatively recently, but those are my picks for now. What about you? What is your favorite haunted house movie, or not movie, book? If you don't like haunted house books, let me know why. If you have any suggestions for really good haunted house stuff, put those in the comments. I do very much enjoy the parapsychologists going to a house. I wouldn't read a bunch in a row because then that's going to seem very samey, but it is. I enjoy that a little bit more, I think, than the normal people have just moved into a house and realize it's haunted. I prefer more proactive characters in my haunted house stories, but that's me. What about you? Let me know in the comments below. If you have any comments, questions, or corrections, please put those in the comments below. Comments are open for spoilers. Just post a spoiler warning. We try to be polite here on my channel. Please like, share, and subscribe, all the usual YouTube stuff. If you'd care to follow me on other social media, I'll have links for my Instagram and Bluesky in the description below. And that's all I have for this week. So until next week, read more books.